Hello and welcome. My name is Alan and we are back with more news and politics from around the world, this time for Friday, November the 29th, 2024. First story we're looking at is from The Lever. And a new mega plot to kill anti-corruption laws. Plus new data on Liz Cheney's election effect, the connection between real estate and your insurance premium, and a hidden city discovered under the ice. How a Trump appointee's proposal to move a federal agency to Texas, how could it end up expanding Citizens United, who are the culprits, and some retirement systems funneling even more money to Wall Street? What does the data say about whether Liz Cheney helped or hurt Democrats in the 2024 election? And where did NASA just find a hidden city? The answers to these questions and more can be found in today's edition of Sirota Signals, a daily dose of must-read stories, missed nuggets, and worthwhile distractions from Lever founder David Sirota. Exclusively for paid subscribers, which I'm not, so. But, yeah. They have that story. Anyway, from inequality.org. Oops, a rich people friendly think tank confirms our richest pay under 1% of their wealth annually in tax. New tax foundation analysis also inadvertently shines a light on the uselessness of adjusted gross income as an indicator of actual billionaire economic income. The Washington, D.C. based Tax Foundation has long functioned as an apologist for America's deepest pockets. Analysts at the foundation have spent years assuring us that our wealthiest are paying far more than their fair tax share, in the face of reality that has our richest aggressively growing their share of the wealth all Americans are creating. This past August, the Biden administration's Treasury Department commissioned a new study that documented just how little of their wealth America's richest are actually paying in taxes. Last month, the Tax Foundation responded with a predictable critique. Our super rich, insists this new Tax Foundation analysis, are still today paying super amounts of taxes. But tax data, as the study Treasury officials released last summer shows, tell a different story. This Treasury study, led by the academic team that included the widely respected economist Emmanuel Saez and Gabriel Zuckman, spotlighted a wide variety of stats on the incomes America's 183.7 million taxpayer units supported until the taxes they paid in 2019. The report devoted special attention to how much in taxes the nation's most affluent that year paid, breaking these taxpayers down into wealth categories ranging from our richest 10% to our richest 0.001%. To drill down even deeper, the report tapped annual Forbes 400 data to calculate comparable stats for those households that sit at our nation's even higher wealth summit. And what did the Treasury report show? At the summit, the nation's richest 0.0002%, a group that roughly corresponds in size to the Forbes 400, paid in 2019 federal and state taxes the equivalent of less than 1% of their wealth. The richest of America's rich, the top 0.00005% of taxpayers paid in federal and state taxes an amount that equaled just 0.75%. All these rich did, to be sure, pay some foreign taxes as well, but the richest of America's rich, even after taking these foreign taxes into account, still paid in taxes less than 1% of their wealth, as this charting of the Treasury Department stats shows. The Tax Foundation's just published response to the Treasury data doesn't dispute the accuracy of any of these figures. The Tax Foundation claims instead that the Treasury report confirms that America's rich pay more than 1/3 of their annual income in federal taxes and more than 45% when state and local taxes are included. Indeed, the Tax Foundation adds, the total tax burden on the nation's super wealthy can, with foreign taxes be paid taken into account, run upwards of 60% of their annual income. Wow! The key word here, income. The Treasury study the Tax Foundation charges classifies taxpayers according to an estimate of their wealth rather than their income, with the intention of showing that the rich pay very little in taxes. The rich, the foundation concludes, are not undertaxed relative to their annual income. This Tax Foundation's claim begs some obvious questions. What yardstick should we use to consider whether our wealthiest are paying an appropriate amount of tax? If our wealthiest are paying their taxes, are still watching their personal wealth grow at a higher rate than the nation's total wealth, are these wealthy paying their fair tax share? The annual Forbes 400 may be the best place to start our answer to that question. Between 2014 and 2024, the wealth of the Forbes 400 increased from $2.29 trillion to $5.4 trillion. That translates to an annual growth rate of 8.96%. Net of taxes and living expenses. Over the same period, America's total household wealth grew 6.8% annually, increasing from $79.94 trillion to $154.39 trillion. At those 2014 through 2024 rates of growth, the share of the nation's wealth the Forbes 400 holds would double every 35 years. Over the past 42 years, the Forbes 400 share of the nation's wealth has actually grown at an even faster rate, nearly quadrupling over that 4-decade plus span. The wealth of our wealthiest has no natural limit. If Congress does not at some point soon raise what our ultra-rich pay in taxes as a percentage of their wealth, our grandchildren could well be living in a nation where our richest 0.01% hold half our nation's wealth, quintuple their current share. What level of taxation would be required to stop America's wealth from concentrating so furiously To close the gap between the growth rate and the wealth of the richest Americans and our nation's overall growth in total wealth, current combined federal and state taxes on those at the top would have to rise substantially, at least tripling on the richest. None of these figures should come as a surprise. We've known for decades now that about undertaxation of America's billionaires, a reality that rests on what may be the single most glaring flaw in America's tax system: adjusted gross income. The Internal Revenue Code uses this AGI as the starting point for calculating federal income tax due. But adjusted gross income for America's richest taxpayers has become and continues to be an entirely meaningless figure because they don't necessarily make their money through income. I'll give you a hint. Stock market and other bonds and funds and stuff, yeah, that's where they make their fucking money. Consider 2019, the year the Treasury study this past August most closely highlighted. The S&P 500 stock index that year rose 30%, between the opening of trading in January and the last trading day in December. For Americans at our nation's economic summit, that made for a wonderful year. These wealthy derive nearly all their income from their investments. Like I said, as we move up the economic scale, the wealth growth of the ultra-rich follows a clear pattern. The economic income, that is, the rate of wealth growth of the topmost group, increases as the size of the group shrinks. Between 2014 and 2024, for example, the wealth of the 92 richest Americans increased from $1.4 trillion to $3.4 trillion, a jump that translates to an annual growth rate of just over 9%. Over the same period, the wealth of the remaining 308 on the Forbes 400 grew at a rate of 8.82%. By contrast, in 2019, the average adjusted gross incomes of the top 92 taxpayers and the next 275 taxpayers stood at 1.66% and 3.11% of their average wealth. In other words, the higher... I hate when it does this shit to me. In other words, the higher up we go on the wealth ladder, the higher the rate of wealth growth, as we would expect. But adjusted gross income, expressed as a percentage of wealth, decreases. For America's wealthiest, adjusted gross income bears no relationship to actual economic growth. Any estimate of income that places, as the AGI does, the income of the 92 richest Americans at only 1.66% of their wealth rates as essentially useless. To sharpen this picture even more, consider the increase in tax on America's wealthiest 367 that would be needed to freeze the increase of their share of the nation's wealth. Avoiding a further increase in the concentration of the nation's wealth would require an overall increase in the rate of taxes our top 367 pay to more than 150% of their adjusted gross income. If we limited their overall tax rate to a mere 100% of their adjusted gross income, their share of the country's wealth would continue to increase. Where does that leave us? For taxing the rich, we currently rely on the income tax based on adjusted gross income as our primary vehicle. That isn't working. If we're going to achieve fair share taxation of the rich, we need to scrap AGI and develop a measure of income that accurately reflects their true economic growth. Otherwise, we need to tax wealth directly. Yeah, I've already said we need to tax stock market gains. It's something I've already been suggesting. Some people are like, oh, that'll affect their people. You're not going to get what you're supposed to get out of them if you don't. And America's fucked if you don't. Now, a nice picture from the Appalachia subreddit. Another beautiful morning at the top of the Appalachian Mountains. Yeah. I love watching the sunrise and the sunset. It's beautiful. Especially up here in the mountains. Alright, we got some Ask Historians. Why was the Cold War framed as being communism and democracy instead of communism and capitalism? Yeah, communism is an economic system. It is not a system of government. Economic system, just as capitalism is an economic system. Democracy is a form of government. One pattern I've noticed lately is that when discussing the end of the Cold War, people often say as they transition to democracy, or when I was in school, however many years ago, learning what the Cold War, it was framed as the Cold War was between communist East and democratic West. But I am well aware of the facts that many West-aligned states in the Cold War were not all democratic. Cuba had Batista, Iran had the Shah, Turkey, where I'm from, had the elections when the military wasn't launching coups. South Korea, Taiwan, Zaire, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Vietnam, Brazil, for quite a while anyway, Chile, and many others were all dictatorships and were capitalist. Quite a few were key battlegrounds of the Cold War too. With that in mind, why is the Cold War framed in this way? Several reasons. The first and most obvious is that while many of the anti-communist powers of the Cold War were democracies, none of the communist powers were. The USSR was a one-party state with a very aggressive secret police force and significant internal repression. Its press was censored and state control intruded into numerous portions of private life. While members of the general population may have had some ways to alter policy in the aggregate, there were absolutely no equivalent to universal suffrage or even voting as it existed in the US or most of the NATO allies. Now, that did not mean that Soviet citizens could not express their approval or disapproval of a leader, especially in a local one, in elections. But, in a practical sense, there was no way to vote Stalin out like one could the US President or the British Prime Minister. Stalin's power depended on the approval of his fellow communist elites, not his democratic elections. Similar structures prevailed in the People's Republic of China or the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The Warsaw Pact states also had secret police forces, limited ability to influence policy by voting, and no ability to remove their communist leadership. Rather infamously, there was a revolution in Hungary in 1956 that culminated with Hungary leaving the Warsaw Pact and abandoning its allegiance to the USSR. The Soviet Union responded with massive violence, sending in their army to crush the revolution and bring Hungary back into the Warsaw Pact. Czechoslovakia's efforts at liberalization in 1968, not necessarily revolution, were similarly crushed by the Soviet military. There are some limited exceptions here, particularly in the case of the non-aligned nations that tilted toward the communist powers without formally being second world countries. India is, of course, the most prominent example. It often found itself at cross purposes with the U.S. and received military aid from the USSR. It had significant state control in its economy. Nonetheless, it was a fully functional parliamentary democracy. Moreover, the liberal democracies formed core at the anti-communist coalition and were in a leadership position there during the entire Cold War. The Turks were not the ones calling the shots on NATO's nuclear policy. The US, and to a much more limited extent, the British and French were. It's well known, for instance, that the US clandestinely agreed to withdraw intermediate long-range missiles from Turkey to de-escalate the Cuban Missile Crisis. This was not something the Turks could veto. The Shah might have considerable influence in his own country, but he was not spearheading the space race, coordinating the UN's anti-communist intervention in Korea, or negotiating ballistic missile disarmament. There's also the matter of historiography. Most Western people discussing the issue are not communist. It's a much more favorable thing for anti-communist and Westerners to frame the struggle as one between democracy and communism than capitalism and communism. Even the communist powers themselves, like the aforementioned DPRK, North Korea, labeled themselves as democracies because democratic governance was seen as a positive thing. Capitalism does not have the same favorable affiliations with freedom, liberty, or equality. This framing dates back to the early Cold War in the U.S., where communist totalitarianism was cast as an existential threat to democracies across the globe. Finally, this gets at your point about the democratization of formerly communist countries. They weren't the only ones to transition to democracy at the end of the Cold War. As the Warsaw Pact imploded and the USSR fell in the late 1980s and early 1990s, numerous former anti-communist autocracies also handed over power to democratic governments. The Spanish and Bolivian governments democratized in 1982, South Korea in 87, Brazil in 88, Argentina in 89, Chile in 1990, South Africa in 94, Taiwan in 1996. I don't want to go too in-depth with this, as it's well beyond my immediate field, which is the mid-20th century, but the global spread of democracy rhetoric applied to anti-communist states just as much as it did to former members of the USSR and the Warsaw Pact. Hopefully that gives a decent impression of why this sort of framing was used. To a large extent, it's simply a way to look at it that favors the anti-communist coalition, and thus it became popular in leading anti-communist powers really were democracies. It became popular in capitalist countries, especially U.S. However, it was fairly grounded in reality, as the leading anti-communist powers really were democracies, while the communist ones simply were not. And thus the idea of democratization and not merely propaganda, as formerly communist countries embraced capitalism, with a few notable exceptions. Most of formerly communist Eastern Europe is today legitimately democratic. Moreover, the democratization was more about just the fall of communist regimes. It also applied to numerous American allies who simply transitioned to democracy as communism collapsed. Yeah. While the members of the general population may have had some ways to alter diplomacy or alter policy in the aggregate, there was absolutely no equivalent for universal suffrage or even voting as it existed in the U.S. or most of the NATO allies. Worth noting that the USSR, as well as many other socialist states, did have elections under universal suffrage. They just weren't democratic, i.e. free, secret, and with more than one viable choice, and had little to no influence on public policies or the arrangements of power within these states. These latter points, I feel, weigh it a little heavily here. Yes, exactly. That's what I meant, putting voting in quotation marks. There absolutely were elections, as you know, but it meant something entirely different than it did in the Western liberal democracies, which is to say, relatively little. Yeah. But there's more comments and stuff. I'll leave the post in the description as always if you want to read upon it. We've got another one. Ask Historians. What was the Beast of Gévaudan? Yeah. Interesting little tale. The Beast of Gévaudan. I know that this question cannot be answered definitively, but what are the leading theories on what the Beast of Gévaudan actually was? Or to nuance this question, if there was not a single beast, what likely was responsible for the killings in the province of Gévaudan in south-central France between 1764 and 1767? What, in your opinion, seems to be the most plausible explanation of what actually took place? Also, why were there repeated attacks on humans? My understanding is that animals often become man-eaters after an injury that inhibits them from killing or eating their standard prey. There's no answers to this, but I think it was a pack of wolves. Or maybe lone wolves are rare, but they do happen. Maybe it was a physically large lone wolf. Yeah, and in certain cases, animals will feel they are capable of taking down people. Or they need to take down a person. So, yeah. But, interesting question posed, so. Now, let's look at some data sets. Incarceration rates. Foreign-born nationals are underrepresented in the Anglosphere, but overrepresented in Europe. So this is incarceration in Europe. Well, yeah, Europe in general. They've also got the US on here, but percent of country's population that is foreign-born versus prison population that is foreign-born. Percent of the country that is foreign-born, 29. Prison population that is foreign-born, 71. That's Switzerland. You can see how much bigger the prison population is compared to the foreign-born. Sweden's pretty close, so we'll not give them any grief. Ireland actually does pretty good. They're smaller than the actual national population. Australia does good. UK does good. Canada does good. US it does, well, let's say these do better than these, because at least it's not every foreign born. New Zealand does pretty good, because yeah, you don't want the prison population to be anywhere close to the national population. Yeah. Anyway, interesting stats. Let's look at some more stats here from Brilliant Maps, making sense of the world, one map at a time. Inflation. The median home value by state in 1950 in inflation adjusted dollars, and then median home value by state in 2024. So the inflation is supposed to meet up the same, but we're going to look at what that would be compared to now. Unfortunately, I don't have a way for us to open the charts. But here's an increase to show you. Even with inflation matching, the cost that it would have been in 1950 to this year, it still jumped way over what it fucking should have. There's nowhere that's under 100. Ohio comes close at 107. Yeah. Freaking Alaska, 675% higher. So beyond the actual inflation, that shows you how much of an increase in price we have seen on homes. So here it is, non-inflation adjusted. Now, these are so low because there's no inflation with them. If there was, they'd be higher. But back in 1950, yeah. Alaska, 3.5 thousand. I know some people who can pay that off, no problem. 1950 with inflation adjusted. So this is what they actually would have been if they had the same inflation level of today. So instead of 3.5, it would have been 46.7. Yet up here, 675% up. Do we have, yeah, there's the 2024 value, 362.1. 46.7 to 362.1. These are if they're both held at the same inflation rate. It's just showing how much bigger the fucking greed is in people. Yeah. Greed is in these companies. California, 771.1 thousand is the average price right now. Back in 1950, if you adjusted for the same level of inflation, 128.4. Not adjusted, 9.6. It just shows the greed level of these companies that control the land, control house building, materials for house building. Yeah, fuck them all. There we go. These, what did it say it was? Every 150 meter / 492 foot plus skyscraper under construction in North America as of November 2024. Here's Alaska. In Surrey, the Parkway 2. In New Westminster, the Pier West 1. In Coquitlam, High Point, Pine and Glen, Myriad by Concert, and Smith and Farrell 1. And then you have Burnaby, the Grand Tower of Sky Park, 2 Gilmore Place, Arias at Solo District, and Central Tower at Sky Park. So those are Alaska. Yeah. City of Vancouver, which right here. It already has 17 towers in the Vancouver area, and in city it's got 6. Now, the ones that are being built, the Butterfly, the Scenic W Tower 7, and the Oak Ridge Park. Let's go across Canada here. Do they have any? I doubt they do in their far territories. In Kelowna, the UBCO downtown. Under construction, yeah, so it's still being built. That's what I thought. I was wanting to make sure I was right. Okay. In Toronto, you have 104 existing in the bigger area and 95 in the city. And they're building the Sky Tower at Pinnacle Wanyong, or Yongay, or Yong, I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah. Mississauga, which I'm not sure where that is. There's some of these I don't know further north, so. Anyway, Mississauga, the M3, the Exchange District condos, the M4, the 3600 Ontario Street, Avia 1, and Oro at Edge Towers. In Vaughan, we've got the CG Tower and Festival condos. In Pickering, the Viewpoint condos. don't know if these are in Pickering or Missauga or... yeah. But there's a bunch here. That's being built. Look at all that. You got Montreal. It's building 3 new ones. 1 Square Phillips. Le 900 Saint-Jacques. Livermore Ville Marie 2. Boston South Station Tower is being built. In Detroit, the Hudson. Go back across. Chicago, 462 East North Water Street. Cleveland, the Sherwin-Williams headquarters. Omaha, Mutual of Omaha headquarters. Seattle, the Sloan. Bellevue, 600 Bellevue. Los Angeles. Got 2 here. The Olympic and Hill and the Century City Center. You've got, let's see here, Nashville, the 1010 Church Street, Charlotte, the Queensbridge Collective Residential Tower, and Atlanta, 1072 West Peach Street. Go back up here to New York because I saw a number of them. New York City, Morgan Chase headquarters, 520 5th Avenue, 125 Greenwich Street, 262 5th Avenue, The Orchards, 50 West 66th Street, 100 West 37th Street, 4320 24th Street, 450 11th Avenue, 98 DeKalb Avenue, The Brook, Block 675, Tower B, number of them there. You got 3 and 4 in Jersey City. Yeah, that goes out quite a ways. Panama City. In Panama. Yeah, a lot of these are central, so they're listing Central America as North America. You can honestly go either way. Say it's South America, it's North America. It's usually just called Central America, but it's not really a continent upon its own. Mexico City's huge. So it having more towers, I'm not, skyscrapers or whatever, I'm not surprised. Anyway, now on to some pictures. Superman balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City in 1940. Yeah. Shot of a family of French, Indochina, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, modern day, outside their home, circa 1910 to 1912. The image is not colorized, it's autochrome lumiere. So yeah. Soviet soldiers on board the liner Joseph Stalin, who survived a mine explosion during the evacuation from the Hanko Peninsula in Finland. The photo was taken from a German ship that took them prisoner. This was December the 3rd, 1941. Just an image of two women sitting next to the storefront in the city of Belgrade in Yugoslavia during the late 1980s. Three American infantrymen eat their K rations on Thanksgiving Day in a dugout near Fakermont, France in 1944. They will be relieved later and will have Thanksgiving dinner in the evening with their unit. And their names are Left Sergeant Albert E. Burns, Private First Class John K. Smith, and Private Robert H. Seymour. So yeah. I just thought this was an interesting picture. Some of y'all it may be too shocking for your eyes, but I think it's fine. Nadeva Richard posing in fetish wear that she and her husband designed and made. They began a fetish company called Eva Richard in 1920 in Paris. Yeah, just in leather, stockings. Yeah. There's really nothing. No. Portrait of Bigfoot, a Yankton Sioux warrior in the U.S. around 1870. Final image. Stunt double Relna Brewer McRae and first all-women gym owner in California, Abby Stockton, lift Milo Globe 100-pound dumbbells at Santa Monica, California, circa 1946. Yep. Anyway, now let's look at some stories here. From the AP. Sun-fed cucumbers and Costco eggs recalled during a potential salmonella contamination. Something to watch out for there. Also from the AP, conservative U.S. influencer Candace Owens is barred from New Zealand weeks after a ban from Australia. Was refused a visa to enter New Zealand for a speaking engagement because she had been banned from another country. News of the ruling came weeks after neighboring Australia also rejected her visa request, citing remarks in which she denied Nazi medical experimentation on Jews in concentration camps during World War II. You make stupid claims, stupid things happen. From Common Dreams. Musk wants to abolish consumer agency that has been a model of efficiency. This is systemic corruption at a grand and intolerable scale, one advocate said of the billionaire's call to delete the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Yeah, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, one of the few good things that have been working for the average American, and fucktard Musk wants to break it apart. You know, as billionaires are wanting to be bastards they are. From Space.com. Cataclysmic solar storm hit Earth around 2,687 years ago, ancient tree rings reveal. So, yeah, BC. If this colossal solar storm hit our technologically advanced world, the effects would have been devastating. Yeah. 687, so that would have been 663 BC. If I'm doing my math right. The Barents Observer. Norway establishes a NATO amphibious warfare center in Soresa. The training facility in northern Norway will have the capacity to house several hundred NATO soldiers. Norwegian Defense Minister Bjorn Arild Gram says. Good. Amphibious training in the Arctic. Water and land assault teams. Ooh. From The Guardian, teenage girls are feeling vulnerable. Fears grow over online beauty filters. Studies suggest children are having their self-esteem harmed by filters that ape the effects of cosmetic surgery. They shouldn't be using Snapchat to begin with. When I was younger, that was just, let's send nudie pics. Or nudie clips. It's like, okay. But whatever, I guess. From the Latin Times, Mexican president dismisses possible soft invasion by U.S. troops as a movie. We will always defend our sovereignty. Mexico is a free, independent, sovereign country, and that is above anything else. And I back her 100% on that, but knowing Dumb Dick Donald, it's hard to tell. He may actually try to go through with some fucking sending troops there. We're gonna start, Judge! Even though it's our fucking fault it started! Dumb Dick Donnie. From Reuters, Ukraine asks NATO for membership invite next week, letter shows. And also connected to this, from the BBC, Zelensky suggests war could end if unoccupied regions of Ukraine come under NATO protection. So yeah, Zelensky trying to get Ukraine into NATO. And honestly, they deserve it. Russia's been nothing but a dick. So I don't see why they shouldn't have it. From Science Alert, world's largest gold deposit worth over 80 billion US. And it's found in China, according to Chinese state media. Give or take how you want. I'm always hesitant to agree with anything as far as state media. God, you won't cry over my ad blocker. Well, you can fuck off then. Now, let's watch some videos. From Norm Finkelstein, The Two Sides Dilemma in less than a minute.
Let me ask you a simple question, okay? If you're at war with Gaza, why are you shooting children in the skull and in the chest? The New York Times published an article on that, came under a lot of flack because they published that article. They said we can't refute the evidence. We have the x-rays in front of us. They're shooting children in the head, in the skull, and in the chest. If you're engaged in the war in Gaza, why are you killing journalists? Why are you killing medics? Why are you killing UN workers? They tell people where to flee. They say go to the safe zones. Human Rights Watch says when the people are directed, they're being shot at the road.
But are you seriously saying no? But hang on.
When they get
Let me respond.
When they get to the safe areas,
I understand. I've already made that point.
Israel drops 2,000-pound bombs.
I've made that very point.
Does that sound like a war?
No, I've made it.
Or does that sound like a genocide?
What
does it sound like?
Well, it's
Pierre's trying his best to cover for Israel. Update. Missouri police fatally shoots mother and her 2-month-old baby after the mother approached officers with a kitchen knife. And it's not like she comes at them like this, like she wants to attack them. No, she's got it while she's holding her baby. So it's not like she's going to come out and attack them.
Hi there. What's your name? Can you come out here, please? Please. I got her in the closet. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Okay. Can we put the baby down, come in here and talk and figure out what's going on? You gonna give it to the baby? Okay. Go. Whoa!
Up. She's freaking out. Even her boyfriend or husband, whatever, don't know what's going on. Okay, I hadn't seen the clip, but yeah. I can understand them drawing their guns in self-defense, but you could have instead taken out a leg. Oh my God. But no, they kill her and the baby. I swear, these police aren't trained for nothing but fucking shoot. They don't understand a wound shot. I swear, they're the dumbest fucks on the goddamn planet. Anyway, heartbroken Palestinian father chasing the ambulance carrying his injured loved one is shot at by the IDF. IOF, some people say they're the Israeli Offensive Forces, because they don't seem to do much in the way of fucking defense. They seem offense. But, yeah. My son. Oh, God. This is why I'm like, fuck the IDF. Fuck them, everyone, in the ass with their fucking gun barrels. It's what they fucking deserve. I ain't saying have a bullet in there and pull the trigger or anything. I'm just saying fuck them with their own goddamn gun barrels. Cocksuckers. Fucking bastards. Mark Zuckerberg continues to engage in neo-colonialism on the Hawaiian Islands, unabated strong-arming land from indigenous islanders, as you would expect from millionaire shitheads.
Oh, what's this? Mark Zuckerberg donates $600,000 to support affordable housing in Hawaii? Oh, that's so great. By the way, how did he get these 1,300 acres of beachfront property there in Hawaii? Let's see. In 2017, his legal team filed quiet title lawsuits to force the sale of small plots aiming at consolidation of ownership. This has been criticized as neo-colonialism, and he's just taking this land from these native people. So he owns $200 million worth of property. So then he donates $600,000, which is only 0.31% of how much he stole through their legal system. It's basically just stealing because these impoverished people can't defend themselves in court. You donate 0.3% of it back and you got to write a puff piece about that? Like, oh my God, oh, what a great guy. What a fantastic philanthropist. What a full-on therapist.
All these tech fucks, they need fucking de-richified, I guess would be the best word I can fucking think of at the moment. Fucking pisses me off. Israeli backhoe shreds playground during ceasefire in Lebanon. Despite there being zero military or tactical value in doing so, IDF destroys a nice soccer pitch in the town of Farkela, Lebanon. Again, fuck Israel. Difference between saying fuck Israel and fucking the people. Fuck Israel. God damn it. So it's got no sound apparently. Again, the fact we fund them so many weapons and so much money makes me embarrassed as an American. It really fucking does. Fuck that cocksucker. Fucking bastard. Can we go over there and knock down the goddamn Wailing Wall? That's what it would be fucking like. Knocking down the goddamn Wailing Wall just because we fucking goddamn feel like it. John Cassidy dies after repeatedly shouting he cannot breathe during an arrest. Officers under investigation by the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability. Fucking sounds familiar. When are we going to get to understand? ACAB, all cops are fucking bastards.
You guys be able to go hands-on pull now? Yeah, we'll do it. Yep. All right. Oh, no. Go ahead, do it. Car back up. You can't breathe? All right. I'll get on there, right? Unlock the door. Unlock the door. Unlock the door. Out. Out. I get out. All right. Get out. Get out. Get out. Let's go. All right. Get out. Get out. Let's go. I can't breathe. Get out. I got the piece, so you can't drive off. Get out. I'm not doing that. Get out. I get out, please. I get out. Get out. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. I can't breathe. Somebody's gonna have to grab his leg. Get out. Just grab his leg nice and easy. Please don't take me. I got a heart attack. Just step out. All right, listen. Stop resisting. Stop pushing. Under arrest. Stop resisting. Yes, unlock. Unlock your leg. Unlock your leg. Step out of the car. You gotta get out of the car. I'm going to the doctor. My nose right there. My nose right there. Stay away.
Again, ACAB, fuck these cocksuckers.
Go.
I get out. I get out right now.
Let him go.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Get out of the car and you're like, get out of the car. Get out of the car.
You guys are gonna have to pull. He's a big boy. Yeah. Come on. Come on. Come on. I can't breathe. Come on. We're stuck on the post. Yep. I gotta get it going.
Get out. Get out.
All right, push. Push.
This is an example of how not to be a goddamn fucking cop. This is why I fucking hate cops. To no fucking end. Fuck those goddamn cop-sucking son of a bitch motherfucker.
Bring your arm around your back. Bring your arm around your back. Behind your back. Bring your arm around your back. Don't grab me.
I can't breathe.
All right, we'll get you up. Bring your arms around your back.
I can't.
I need some cups.
911.
It's coming. Relax.
I can't breathe.
All right, roll towards me. Roll towards me.
I can't breathe.
You're okay. Stop resisting. Put your arm behind your back. You're okay. Here, bring your arm around. We're going to get you up.
Fuck these cocksuckers. Every last one of the fuckers.
We can get you off the ground. We're going to get you off the ground. We're going to get you up. Just bring your arm on your back. Bring your arm back.
Come on, John.
There you go. You're doing good, John. Just relax. Once the cuffs are on, we're going to get you off the ground. You're okay. Just stop resisting. All right.
You couldn't get him up, lean him against the car?
Or would you like him in? Yeah.
No, you're afraid he's gonna be some fucking goddamn threat. Fuck you.
Position so you can
Fuck you!
John.
John.
Mail 411529, Stephen here.
Hey, John. Hey, John, look at me. John.
Oxygen on.
You all right? My race.
Now you get the oxygen out. Fuck you. Fuck every goddamn one of you. I have no love for fucking cops whatso fucking ever. I've seen enough of their goddamn shit fucking people over. Fuck the cocksuckers. Anyway. Fucking hell. Following one of the most divisive presidential elections, a college student openly expressed racist sentiments, unwilling to be around their kind. This is what we get for allowing this cocksucker in fucking office.
Why do we have gated communities? Because I
I don't want to be with your kind.
And we're here anyway.
Not for long.
Oh my God.
Fuckers like that are the reason Trump never should have been fucking near the goddamn office. I don't give a shit how fucking much your fucking eggs are, goddammit! Finally, Colombia votes to outlaw child marriage. I hate these cocksuckers. Not these. Fucking racist shits and the fucking bastard police. I'm still angry from that shit. I'm fucking happy Colombia finally got to outlaw fucking child marriage. Good on you guys, good on you. Yeah. Fucking can't stand racist shits like that motherfucker in that college class. Can't stand the fucking ACAB shit fucks who fucking love killing people just because they fucking feel like it. I'm so fucking done with these defenders of the bullshit. Oh, God damn it. Fucking. Yeah. Sorry to leave off on such an angry message, but fuck, that pisses me off. To no end. There's so many stupid fucks in the world right now. Look at my forearm. It's red where I smacked it earlier. Like when the guy was digging up the soccer pitch. Oh. Yeah. I'm just like, can't you just have some respect for humankind? Have some decency? But no. No! No! They don't give a crap about doing what's right. About doing what's proper. Mistreatment of people is probably one of the things that really boils my blood. And I just brings the anger out. Anyway, that'll be it for this episode. As always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something that they have trouble believing, you have trouble believing. Ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting sources and links in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.